Hi everyone and welcome to episode 184 of the Mighty Whites podcast. I'm Jack, as always joined by KC.
Now that?
How's things, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Good.
I'm over the disappointment of last night.
Yeah, it was a real issue.
I think I was over the disappointment of last night. So
yeah, it's such a different atmosphere with a game like that. You know, normally you lose a game 1-0 and you're fuming and there's loads of things that you're annoyed at. No one was bothered.
Yeah.
At all.
No, it was nice to see a few of the kids get a run out, but
yeah. I suppose the biggest bad thing to come out of it is Gellart going off injured. And I could just see, camera cutting to Jesse Marsh. The star of the show is sick. Whatever will we do? There's only one person who can get us out of this pickle. Joe Snowden? Yes, boss. Help me into your kit. Because as you know, Casey, Leeds would have killed for Tapper. But yeah, Wolves won, Leeds 0 in the League Cup. First things first, what did you make of the lineup that we put out?
Yeah, very interesting. Obviously, the main two talking points, I suppose, would have been Joseph and Perkins both starting, with Gelhardt and Harrison as well as kind of your front four.
Yeah. Oh wow. Just because you've started with them, can anyone explain to me why, when we had that front four, we had Fernandez on the left, Harrison on the right, Perkins at 10, Gelhardt up front, and I honestly think not one of them is in the right position. I think if you'd have put Harrison on the left, Perkins on the right, Gelhardt behind Fernandez / Joseph,
I'd go with it.
It makes way more sense. I mean, but to be fair to Matteo Joseph, I thought he had a really good game, and I thought we didn't quite get Perkins on the ball enough, but whenever we did, he looked really good.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it was a League Cup. So not unfortunately. Last night I was playing football from 8 till 9.
You missed just over half, didn't you?
So I missed the majority of the game. And I think as I was driving to catch the last 20 minutes was when Perkins came off. And I think Adam Pope described him as not looking out of place during the game.
I honestly think that sort of does him a little bit of a disservice. I thought he was better than just not looking out of place. I thought he showed some moments of real quality in that game. He was pretty good. The performance overall, obviously you didn't get to see a decent chunk of it, so I'll talk mostly about it. We were at least as good as them, and I would argue that we were probably the better of the two sides. Like, not by loads. We absolutely battered them for like 5-10 minutes at the start. And then it just became an even game. And then they score a good goal later on after Greenwood gives it away in midfield. But the performance was pretty good. I think the main takeaways that I had from it, like JB overplayed a little bit too much sometimes, but which he does in the 21s, but he's still got a lot of quality on the ball and he's young. He'll get that out of his system. As I said before, I liked Perkins. For a goalkeeper we've got on a free to be second/third choice, Joel Robles is a good goalkeeper. His positioning for coming off his line was really good, and he made one outstanding save. There's some people saying his positioning on the winner wasn't great because it didn't go right in the corner, but I still think that was a good finish more than out. But my main sort of overly reactionary, way too much talk bollocks on Twitter take is that Leo Yelder should be a lot closer to starting than he is.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he should be a model.
Yeah, well, that too. Handsome boy. But, this is way too reactionary and stuff, but I genuinely think we've been playing... When Cooper was injured, we played Llorente as left centre-back. And Yelder was injured at this point, admittedly. He was having the appendectomy. But I don't think we've ever any reason to see Llorente at left centre-back ever again. Because one, Strauch should be there if we sign a left-back. But even if he doesn't, just play Yelder. And I don't particularly mind which way around you play Yelder and Strauch. One at left back, one at left centre back. But Llorente is now there purely to be the backup to Robin Koch at right centre back, and that's it.
Yeah, I suppose now, because I was just talking about this a little bit earlier, in that defensively, like obviously we have conceded a lot of goals this season. We conceded a lot of the same goals. But I think I said to you, like, I don't think any of our defenders are playing bad. Like it's the system that that lets them down.
Whenever he plays, Firpo, but I get what you mean.
Well, I'm talking about the players who've played most of this season.
Yeah,
and not Diego Llorente. So sort of the current back four.
Yeah, even Llorente, to be honest, he hasn't been as good as them around him, but he hasn't been abysmal or anything. He's been all right.
Apart from Brentford.
Yeah, but Robin Koch was awful there as well.
But yeah, so I don't think there's any of them playing bad. I do wonder if, and this is very much an if we sign a left back, what happens with Strout, because he's had a good season, and he probably needs the game time, but I don't really see us dropping Liam Cooper. Like I think it's kind of proven over the last year or so. I think the leadership quality he brings to the team probably now slightly outweighs the fact that I think Strauch is a better footballer than him. Like, I don't think there's a massive amount in it, but so whether it's just trying to wrap my head around whether Liam Cooper at some point drops out for Strauch to come in, or does Strauch drop out despite how he's played?
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it depends on who the left back is. You know, if we sign a left back who is absolute, no doubt, first choice, brilliant, then there's an argument to have. I think that Strauch and that left back would rotate a bit. And I also think Strauch and Cooper would rotate a bit. And Strauch could probably play both at times. But I sort of think...
At the same time.
Yeah. And there'd be a lot of one playing an hour and the other playing half an hour, I think. It's an interesting one. Like, Cooper, it is just the leadership quality stuff, because if you take that out and it's just about being on the pitch, if we sign a left back, you immediately drop Liam Cooper and you play Strauch. And that's not a slight on Liam Cooper. I think I just think Strauch is a better player who could still improve a lot. But I'd be interested to see where it goes. It is kind of weird that Yelder looks that good, and he's sort of the next in line to Strauch, who's the next in line to Cooper. So
Yelder, who is sort of the third choice at both centre back and left back.
Yeah, well, I would argue he's second choice at left back.
I'm talking about in the manager's opinion, not in our opinions. But yeah, again, that's all very much comes down to if we sign a left back.
Yeah, and we probably won't sign a left back because we've got the perfect excuse not to spend any money in January, because we've got to spend 18 million on Jean-Kevin Augustin. So,
do we have to pay do we have to pay it monthly now, or is it like
I think
monthly payments? Or...
I think it's 3 installments of like 6 million.
No, but I mean, like, because obviously, I assume, as was agreed, like, we'll never. I don't know if it ever came out whether we have to pay that over 3 years or 18 months.
All I know is it's definitely installments, because he said the first installment is now due. But we'll see. Yeah, Yelder was good. JB was good. Mateus Click played all right. I suppose one of the big bits of news is he has missed out on the World Cup spot.
I obviously feel bad for him, but he really hasn't played a lot this season.
No, it's understandable, because he was only going to be a squad player, probably.
That Barnsley performance was not going to get him in the World Cup squad, unfortunately.
No. It's a shame for him, because if he plays every week, he gets in, because he is good enough. But if you're not playing, unless you're one of those players that, Like if he had, 60 caps behind him and was one of the main men, they'd probably still pick him. But he's been fringes, hasn't he, for a lot of it, and then got back in, and it's a real shame for him because he's a good player and everyone likes him.
In the same vein, Robin Koch missing out for Germany seems a bit harsh.
In my head, I thought it seemed harsh because he has been pretty good for us this season overall. But by the look of the players there, it came down to him or Bella Kotchap at Southampton.
Mm.
And I think that Kotchap's probably had a better season. And if neither of them are going to play, which you would think neither of them are actually going to get in the side, are you better taking the younger one who looks to have shitloads of potential just to get him the experience?
Yeah.
It's probably fair enough. You just lose the option of playing him in midfield. But if Germany ended up needing to play Robin Koch in midfield at a World Cup, someone's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a shame too. It would have been nice for him, but in a way, it's good for Leeds, I suppose. Once he gets over the initial disappointment, then
he gets to have a nice trip to San Francisco. Oh no, that's
Spain.
That's been nixed.
Yeah. Yeah, but we may as well, the other bit of news, the England squad. Was there anything in particular that's stood out to you, annoyed you?
We had the conversation after the game last weekend about England's options at centre mid, and admittedly, clearly forgot about a couple of players because I don't think we ever mentioned Conor Gallagher, and I may have forgotten about James Ward-Prowse.
There was a reason that I didn't mention Conor Gallagher.
Yeah. But that seems an interesting inclusion. If the tournament would have come at the summer just gone, yeah, fair enough. But for what he's been doing at Chelsea at the moment, it's to be honest, I feel like if you're going to pick one from Chelsea, you'd be closer with Ruben Loftus-Cheek than you would with Conor Gallagher in terms of form this season.
Yeah, I said that, didn't I, when we were on about it in the pub, that I think Loftus-Cheek, if I was going to include one that was unexpected, that he'd probably be one, because I just think he's a really good footballer. Gallagher's the only one in the squad who I think is who I would say is a massive shock. Other than, you could argue Callum Wilson, because you probably wouldn't have seen it coming 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But that's because he's never fit, but he's actually managed to stay fit. So I'm really pleased for him, but I think it's very harsh on both Tammy Abraham and even Tony.
I think probably more so Tammy Abraham, because one, he has been in and around the squad before, has come off the back of a very good season, won the league. Same with Tomori to an extent as well. As opposed to, Ivan Toney has had a good season, but would be, I suppose, with both him and Wilson, they're both kind of almost, not quite to the same extent, but the Steve Bull level of, these guys haven't really played international football, but
they are good.
But they're scoring goals right now. So,
I think off the top of my head, I think Tony's got 10 league goals, and he's also, and I know that it's not enough to get you picked by itself, but in a 26-man squad, it does make a difference. He is a shit-hot penalty taker, and there's a pretty good chance at some point you're going to be in a shootout.
Yeah, it is England, and it is what we do. But, at some point, if you're taking a penalty for England, you're going to let the country down at some point. So, why not do it in Qatar? Yeah, I suppose with that one, like I said, Rashford's in there. He has improved this season. He's definitely playing a lot better this season.
He's not at his absolute best, but he's definitely better.
And again, can play up front, can play wide. So I see why he's in there. I'm just looking through. Connor Cody's a little bit.
I think that both Cody and Eric Dyer, if you're Fikayo Tomori, you look at them two names and you're fuming.
Yeah.
But it's because Southgate loves a back three, and they both are way more comfortable in a three than a two.
I mean, if so, based on that, then, if you were playing a back three, what are you thinking? Ben White, John Stones.
It will be, I think, Walker right centre back, Stones in the middle, Maguire left. I think that's what it will be, but I think Ben White absolutely should start.
Yeah, and I suppose the leads, like the two leads links in there are one, Ben White been in there, and then Calvin Phillips' miraculous recovery to make a heroic start last night in the League Cup.
Pep being nice and making sure that he plays just to prove no, he is fit. Trust me. I
mean, because again, the genesis of our conversation about centre mids were like, well, it'll be Bellingham and Rice who start. But who else? Like Henderson will go. He's not playing as well this season, but he adds a lot in terms of leadership qualities.
I will say this is something that obviously we don't really see and pay attention to, but by all accounts, that's also a big plus of having Conor Cody there. By everything you read, apparently he's like a really good leader and a really good person to have in the squad in that sort of situation. But it's not something that we'd ever particularly notice. It's just something that I've seen others say.
I suppose the difference is, though, that Jordan Henderson has... This is coming across a lot harsher than I want it to, because I quite like Conor Cody as a person. But comparatively, Jordan Henderson has done a lot more in football than Conor Cody.
Yeah, but Conor Cody's never cancelled an interview with me at the last minute. Jordan Henderson has. It's actually fine. I've had that as a running joke now for about 10 years. Longer, actually. Yeah. I went to uni a lot longer ago than that, didn't I?
Yeah, don't think about that.
There's only one left back in the squad, Luke Shaw.
No, there's not. Kieran Trippier is there.
Trippier, but I suppose Trippier and Saka are like the other.
It's just Kieran Trippier, mate. It's just Kieran Trippier.
Would you, when you look at that, would you be starting Trippier at right back, / right wing back?
Based on form, yeah. Like especially if it's a back five.
Yeah, I think either way he starts.
Yeah.
There is that sort of weird world where he picks Rice and Phillips and Bellingham ahead, and picks a back four, but I don't see him doing it.
But yeah, like on current form, you know, we've still got a team where it's 4 options at right back, and John Stones, throw him in there as well. So we've got 5 options at right back. But on current form, you'd probably say Trippier is your first choice. Ben White should be your second, and then I don't know what's a better option. Is it Alexander-Arnold who's not playing particularly great, or is it Kyle Walker who is fresh off an injury?
Depends if it's a 4. It depends, because I hate saying Trent if it's a 5 because he doesn't play in a 5 for Liverpool, but he also plays so attacking that he sort of does play the same role as he would in a 5. I think Trippier starts either way, but if they fell into a 4, I'd probably have White in a 4 and Trent in a 5.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And the only other interesting thing is that he has finally seen sense and picked James Maddison, which he had to do because he's just been brilliant.
Again, in terms of a team that's got off to a bad start to the season and has turned it around in the last month. But again, you were just hearing good things about James Maddison still week after week. And yeah, I don't think he starts very often. Looking at that, I think his front 3 is probably Saka, Sterling, and Kane. For me, you could
because Sterling is not playing well enough that he gets in on merit, but he's got previous.
But and again,
and Southgate trusts him.
Like looking through the team, he's the second highest goal scorer in that squad.
Yeah,
your next one is, as we've said before, is Harry Maguire with 7.
Yeah, I would start Foden over Sterling in that first game, but I don't think he will. I think he'll start Sterling.
Well, the last at the Euros, Foden played on the right, didn't he? For him, I think when he first came in, if I remember rightly.
Sterling was good in the Euros, though. So
but I suppose you've got, depending on how you want to set it up, because between Mason Mount, I know he's down with mostly the central midfielders, but Mason Mount can play left or right as well. Maddison can. We've got options there at least.
Yeah.
The only thing was I was going to find it so frustrating when we kick this tournament off against Iran, and you look at especially those attacking players and whoever your front sort of 5 or 6 is going to be, and you just kind of think it's like, I know they've done well to qualify, but it's Iran. Just let them go. Just sort of unleash them, like we should have done against Scotland in the Euros, where you just go, look, well done, they have qualified. It's a solid team, but just get at them. Like, that's what we should do, and I just fear that will not happen, and we will come away with a 1-1 draw to open the tournament.
I suppose that's the argument for starting Trent Alexander-Arnold at right wing back in that game. Playing Walker or White at right centre-back. But saying to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but everyone's going to shimmy across. You're basically playing right wing.
Yeah.
And White is sort of right back in a 4, following up behind him. And that way you can still have 2 sitting midfielders and be aggressive then. Because you've got that extra body.
Especially if you start with Saka on the right, and then you can just have Alexander-Arnold just overlapping all the time. But there's no reason why we shouldn't get 3 or 4 against Iran. It's just what that team should do. It's just whether they're going to be allowed to do it or not.
But we'll see, and obviously we'll come back to that because we will. I don't know what the timings will be, but we will do pods through the World Cup. But speaking of playing a back 3 and quite often some deep sitting midfielders and getting all your width from your wing backs pushing forward, we're playing Antonio Conte's Spurs.
Yay!
Lately, they are awful in every first half and really good in the second. They're usually 3-5-2. But because Son's injured, you're less sure. They did play all 3 when they had Son and Kulusevski fit, didn't they, early in the season?
Yeah.
They played a 3-4-3 instead, and Kulusevski came off the bench last time out against Liverpool. So if he's fit, they might play Kane up top and then Lucas and Kulusevski either side, or Richarlison and Kulusevski. So they could be 3-4-3 instead. It's a good squad. Although, the more I look at it, I still don't think centre-back wise they've got enough. Luis, good goalkeeper, makes a massive cock-up once every so often, but he's a good goalie. Centre-backs, because Christian Romero's injured. Centre-backs are, Davinson Sanchez, Clement Longley, Eric Dyer, Ben Davies. 3 of those 4.
Yeah, against Liverpool, it was Dyer, Longley and Davis, with Sessegnon and Emerson as the wing backs.
Yeah, it's not a Longley's gone to Barca having done well, but not set everything alight there and then get shipped out. Dyer's much improved. He's back towards what he was, but still not there. And Ben Davies is solid. Sanchez is an all right backup, but it's not. They're hardly top tier centre backs, have they? You can definitely do something against them. Sessegnon apparently has a bit of a knock, so he ain't certain whether he'll play or not. So you'd think, because we've got some fault, even though he played up front against Liverpool, you'd think Perisic, left wing back.
Yeah.
And then Emerson Royale, maybe on the right, maybe Matt Doherty. Doherty could also play left back. They've got that Jed Spence as well, who was brilliant last season in the Championship, but he's never getting a chance.
Yeah, Kyrgios won that one now. That was great for him, but
this is one of the bits that scares me. Whether it's Perisic, who isn't as quick, but he's very good footballer, or Sessegnon, who's rapid. And they are not scared to let their wing backs make a massive run in behind from deep, and that is the sort of thing that we are very vulnerable to.
Yeah. And when you look at the options as to who they've got to either go at goal or play it across to certainly Harry Kane in the middle. So
yeah,
could be fun.
They'll either have 2 or 3 centre mids, depending on whether it's 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. But if it's 2, it'll be Højbjerg and Rodrigo Bentancur, they're both having good seasons. And Højbjerg has discovered this goal scoring touch out of nowhere, where he's just started popping up in really good positions. If it's a 3, Yves Bissouma will play as well. That's 3 very good midfielders. Although which is enough. They're lacking a bit of depth because they've only got Skip afterwards. I thought they still had Harry Winks, but he actually left before transfer deadline day. Without Googling, KC, have you any idea where Harry Winks is?
Oh, no. I'm going to say somewhere in Turkey.
No, Sampdoria. I had no idea. Had no idea that's where that's. But yeah, it's a very good midfield 3, and all 3 of them are currently playing well. And then 2 or 3 forwards. It'll either be Kane and Richarlison, or like Kane, Richarlison, Kulusevski, maybe Lucas Moura. They've also got Brian Hill, but I doubt he'll start. And Son's injured.
Well, you've always got to think about old Gil.
So nice. So who obviously Harry Kane is a great player and he's almost certainly going to score. But what about Spurs particularly worries you?
Yes. I don't know, to be honest. Like it's a very good squad. It's a bonus that Son's out, but Sod's law for us that Kulusevski is coming back right around this time. Clearly, there is the ability to get at them. Like they're not the most formidable team. I mean, they're 4th, and I still think we can get at them.
Yeah, the 4th, I think we can get to. And also, it's not like Spurs fans are pleased with how they're doing, really. Because the results are sort of papering over some performances.
Yeah, I mean, Champions League, they obviously left it scarily late against Marseille.
And then ended up winning the group.
Yeah. Second half, I only saw the second half of their game against Liverpool, and honestly, if they want to put the score in the top corner, you'd have thought Spurs were winning 2 or 3-0. It was just wave after wave.
Yeah, which is weird because I did watch the first half, and in the first half, it was all Liverpool and Spurs were awful.
Yeah. So first half went in 2-0 down at half time against Bournemouth. But they're a decent team. They score a lot of goals to Bournemouth. I'm not going to speak ill of them. And the chances they create, or we allowed them to create, one of them.
Yeah, they also, before that, drew with Sporting in Champions League, got beat 2-1 at home by Newcastle. And then last night, they got beat in the League Cup 2-0 by Nottingham Forest. And I'm just having a look at their side.
It's pretty much.
Yeah, Forster in goal, back 3, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Clement Longley, right wing back Doherty, left wing back Sessegnon, Højbjerg, Bissouma and Skip in midfield, and then Kane and Perisic up front. Like, it's basically, other than in goal and Bentancur, it's a first team. They're a bit weird at the minute, and you're just never sure what you're going to get out of them.
So, I mean, the like you say, the terrifying thing for us is that they've got wing backs who are going to get high up the field, get space in behind, and feed passes into Harry Kane.
Yeah.
who I assume will relatively comfortably find some space in and around our penalty spot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. As for us, Nonto for Harrison, the only change.
Yeah, given that Harrison played the full 90, you would assume that he is not playing or not starting this weekend anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think other than that, you probably go back to what our starting lineup was against Bournemouth.
Yeah. So Meslier in goal, Christensen at right back, Cock and Cooper, Strauch at left back, Adams and Rocker in midfield. With then Nonto and Somerville wide, Aronson behind Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Rodrigo, he keeps scoring. Even games where he isn't playing well, he's scoring at the minute. Which leads us into our predictions and as bet. And I'll go in straight away because it makes sense. My bet is Rodrigo first goal at 10-1. Because Sky Bet have enhanced it. And I could easily see us being up 1-0 at half time, having played well and Spurs been bad, and going on to lose 2-1, which is my score prediction.
I will go with my bet first of Tottenham to win each half and Harry Kane to score two or more goals. And that's at 10-1.
Kane 2+. 10-1. Yep.
That's at 10-1. And Spurs to win 3-1.
3-1. As it goes for the Wolves game, I did get 2 points because I did have us losing, but that was the only thing that we got right between us.
Please do not use us for betting tips.
Oh no, it's just an extra thing for us to have between us. Do not. If I ever have an actual betting tip, it will be on Twitter, and it won't be very often. It might be once a season.
Yeah.
And what it's more likely to be is, hey, this bookie hasn't noticed that Leeds have picked a really strong team for the under-21s.
Get them on the handicap.
Yeah, because that happens a few times a year. Right. I think that is everything we need to do. Another Saturday 3:00 game. It's becoming a habit. And then it's going to be...
I don't like it, Jack. I want my traditional Sunday 2:00 kickoff.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
And it is going to be weird that we're going to play that on a just play that game and then 8 days later for opening game at World Cup.
I said that to someone today, and in my head I just went, it doesn't... No, you can't have the World Cup start the weekend after. Surely, did any fact? No, just straight in.
Straight
fine.
In. Cool. Well, yeah, that will do us. We'll be back at some point after the game. There'll be one next week where we'll probably just talk about this, and then it becomes talking about the World Cup, I would assume.
The mighty World Pod.
England playing white.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Mostly.
Most of the time. Yeah. Luckily, Casey, we don't make any money out of this, so it doesn't make us hypocrites.
Yeah, that's fine.
If we made money out of this, we'd have to give it to charity or something because it's in Qatar. But because we don't make any money, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm tempted to ask if I can do an assembly at the school I work at about the World Cup next week. And someone looked at me and I just went, not about the political situation. I think that might go over primary school children's heads.
Yeah.
Just more the joy of football generally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. But yeah, that will do us for episode 184. And we'll be back early next week, hopefully, with a few more points on the board. So I've been Jack. See ya.
I'm in case.